understanding of the law here in Penang is that whenever planning approvals are submitted, I think there is a consultation of the nearby lots or neighboring landowners.
That's right. So
It's always done. It's always done.
The process right now is that when there's any development, they will consult anyone sharing a border. So I think there's no living people sharing the border, so which means that there is no hearing out of the neighbors at all, right?
There are some neighboring lots, but they're mostly, for example, Boston, the state government themselves. Yeah.
Okay, so there's nobody representing all the 7,000 dead people. Okay, but I think what is more important is actually...
For the 7,000 dead people, I'm happy to say we won't touch the graves. You'll be there, and if anything, we would spruce it up.
Oh, that's very good, thank you. Okay, so it looks like the structure is... Yeah, so it looks like the structure, as you explained, is that you deal with the state and the city council, and you rely on the state to deal with the public. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so is there some other, form of consultation that is normally the case or that has been put into practice
I think
elsewhere?
The consultation is very informal. I think we've met up with people like yourself earlier over the past 1 to 2 years. I think we hear your views. I hope you hear ours as well, so that there's a two-way dialogue.
Okay, so we will also maybe look at the question about the alternative ways to get to the island if we do not have a bridge. Would that be ever considered?
I think there's always two sides of argument. There's some who wants the exclusivity, which means you go by your private boat or you can hire some pump. But then somehow there's the other side of it, which says, it's not easy to access. I believe you go by a private sampan, it costs you 100 ringgit per time. So some people may want an easier way to access.
Okay,
so we need to find a balance.
Even with the bridge, it is not necessarily a car bridge. It can be a public transport. It can just be open for public transport. That can also be considered, right? Like a shuttle or something like that. Not necessarily a car. Okay, I think one last question, Pamela.
The island is so small. No, I will speak loud. I don't like the mic. The island is so small. You're only developing 75 acres. Why do you need a bridge? And then it takes out the romantic idea of the island, the exclusiveness of the island. It's so small. You're only building 1,200 units, and you need a bridge.
There is also, you must also think of the general public. I think the state wants the public to enjoy the forest reserve. Okay? The state wants the public to enjoy the cycling trail, which is about 12 kilometers. I think it will cost quite a bit of money to do that trail. My understanding is the state will also put in some eco-friendly attractions around the trail once the trail is up. So they're encouraging people to enjoy it, to go and walk the forest reserve, to cycle the trail.
But then when you have so many cars going in, so many people so crowded, and then when you do the trails, it's all like back to back. So you want to keep the numbers low. You see where I'm going?
So Pam is from Pekka.
Yeah.
You have all heard from Pekka. Yeah. I think there needs to be some sort of structure for future community consultation.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to end this forum. I would like to give each of the speakers an opportunity to have another say.
I think as I concluded my slide just now, I want to keep it really short in view of time. Any kind of development or redevelopment, whatever is planned for the island, all aspects of it has to be taken into account, and the views of everyone, people, general public in Penang, has also to be considered in planning for this island. So I would suggest the way forward now would be for the developers and also the state to actually do a series of public consultations or forums to discuss the future of the island, because pretty much ever since the news of the development on the island came out in 2016, there has been a blank. Nothing much has happened over there, and the public is left in pretty much a void of knowing what's going on. So, way forward would be to have more dialogue with the public. Thank you.
I would just like to underline what Rex has said, which is that I think it's very, very sad, and perhaps it's bad PR as well, that so little information comes out. When there's an absence of information, people tend to assume the worst. And maybe the state government and IDEAL could look at the idea of making periodic statements. I understand that maybe there's commercial considerations and that plans aren't finalised, but it might be an idea to think in terms of making periodic releases of information. Like, for example, you mentioned you've been talking to the state about preserving the barracks and the church. I mean, that's terrific news, and something like that would make, I think, everyone happy. But it could be, it could be, hey, let's tell people about this. This is good news.
Makes you the good guys.
Yeah. Take charge of the narrative, as they say.
So Ben, you have the last say. Maybe you can also say a little bit about this idea of a master plan for the whole island.
I actually think Simon should say something first.
Okay. Simon, so that Ben can have the last say.
I think we've got no problems in having dialogue with interested parties. It's just what kind of forum. We're happy to talk to you guys. No problem.
Alright, I'll take the last thing. I think on behalf of all the participants right here, I really think we should thank Mr. Simon for actually coming up and sit here and actually receiving the barrage of questions, which I think, to put in perspective, he alone cannot understand answer everything on behalf of the organization. Alright, but nevertheless, this sets a precedent of probably what can be done, where there's actually engagement and discussion, and it works two ways, as you say. So at least you know where we come from and what we think. Right? We didn't know what you think, and like some of our audience right here said, we do not know. What we don't know, we tend to develop a paranoia. And when we have this paranoia, we assume the worst.
Right.
And when we assume the worst, that's when we start to imagine Jerejak transform into Sentosa Island.
But the paranoia comes out of what happens already. And there's the problem. That's why people don't believe that IDEAL might be on the right side of the coin. There's the problem. So the key is not so much that we don't trust IDEAL, it's more that the lack of information combined with what happens already makes IDEAL put in the position they're doing the wrong thing. And they might do the right thing. They might. But as long as you don't know, and you see what happened at straight skiing, you see with the idea of what happened in the south side of Penang, with the development, the potential development of the islands are there, and the destruction of ecosystems, and the destruction of life of fishermen, you put IDEAL at that point where they don't want to be, and they can come out of that, because I understand what IDEAL wants to do, they have to make money. And it's the whole principle is not about they are wrong and somebody else is right. IDEAL is a commercial company, they need to make money. How do you want to preserve Pulau Jerejak? You can't just say, we keep it like it is, like what Mike said earlier, but you also need the money to have the preservation running. IDEAL can be a partner in that, but if you don't communicate with the people who are concerned about that, you get a big problem. And then they're the wrong people, and then you also make the situation political by pointing at the local government, the state government. or the federal government. So the situation is much more difficult than just pinpoint at someone. In the case of Simon, I appreciate that he's here, honestly. But you need to look further than that. It's not a question of bridge or no bridge. It's a question of money that needs to come from somewhere, and Ideal can play a role in that. But be open in that, and that counts as much for Ideal as that it counts for the state.
Alright, thank you for the last view. Just one thing that I think we all should agree right here is that there needs to be a certain form of development for Pulau Jerejak. Alright? There needs to be a certain form of development of Pulau Jerejak. We cannot dismiss the fact that Ideal owns 15%? No. 72.
don't own the land, actually we joint venture.
Joint venture.
With
Right.
Pulau.
So there's bound to be development. But what is the right kind of development? Alright? Perhaps in the way forward moving from here is that we have, like what I had said and presented just now, sustained engagements. Alright? We need to constantly talk to each other so that we get to know what you are developing. We get to see what is up in the pipelines, and then we can have a say, yes, no, maybe you can buy it, maybe you don't want to buy it, but if there's an engagement, at least it averts a lot of bad press and bad publicity. Right? And at this time and age, we have to move beyond the old paradigm of just build and build and build. Right? That was something from the 70s, that was something from the 80s. We need something which is sustainable. We need something that balances what is in the past, what is the present, and what is to come in the future.
We have an obligation to the next generation. I hike a lot here. I know my forest up here. I know it very well. The fact that I like hiking is not an argument not to develop. But we have an obligation to the next generation, to my children. I don't have any, but the children. I'm 56. The younger generation, the unborn generation, have the right to do what I do here in Penang. And that is the essence of what happens here. If you take away what we have now, you take it away from your children, your grandchildren, and you think that's the right thing to do? I don't think so. So it has nothing to do with me or with us here, what we like or in development or not. It is about our obligation to the next generations that live or not live even at this moment. And that's what you need to realize. So it's beyond Ideal and it's beyond the state. The state have an obligation to inform us what happens there. But they need to realize they're there for our future, not only for this moment. And that counts for us all of here.
Thank you, Peter. Peter van der Lans, is it? And he's been contributing a lot to Penang Hills Watch because he hikes everywhere, and every time there's a clearing, he will report to Penang Hills Watch. So he's also a guardian of our hill forests. So, okay, with this, I would like to end the forum. There is tea, and please linger around. And then those people who have asked questions are really concerned. Maybe you can just come up here, and then we can have a little chat. Okay, let's have another round of applause for all the speakers.